bowl cleaner from Mermaid. Your sink stopper's broken, and fixing a drain is a pain. Introducing Mermaid Drain Magic, the instant solution to most broken drains. Just remove and replace. In seconds, you can fill and drain with a simple press of a button. Drain Magic makes replacing your old, broken, rusty, even missing sink stoppers fast and easy. Drain Magic's anti-clogging basket helps prevent clogs in your sink, catching hair, food, even jewelry. Made with brass and chrome and a silicone gasket, it creates a watertight seal. Order your Mermaid Drain Magic today for only $19.99 and get a Mermaid toilet bowl cleaner absolutely free. Drop it in the tank for up to 3 months of cleaning. But wait, this could be your last chance to get Drain Magic at this low price with free toilet bowl cleaner. There's a strict limit of 3, so order now.
Call 1-800-519-4303 or visit GetDrainMagic.com. So call 1-800-519-4303 or visit GetDrainMagic.com. Order now.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Royce White is speaking truth to power.
We will not give up a single right guaranteed under the Constitution.
You know I'm always going to talk about the real things. Okay. Free the Uyghurs.
If I'm going to die, I'll die now, right here fighting you.
Let me be your shield, let me be your shield.
What's wrong in this country is our sense of American citizenship is lost. It's lost in convenience.
Let me be your shield, let me be
Convenience will be the death of freedom. This is my show. And on my show, I control the conversation. Welcome back to the Royce White Show. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. You're watching Real America's Voice, headquarters of the Ultra MAGA and America First movement. Again, Minnesota becoming the focal point of American politics. There in the cold open, you saw yesterday's local strike and protest against ICE, President Trump, the Republican Party, the MAGA and America First movement, what they claim is racism and xenophobia, and I'm sure everything else in between, homophobia, racism, misogyny, the entire polyglot of grievance identity politics was probably represented in some way, shape, or form. And if you listen closely to the cold open, they say the quiet part out loud in the chant, not down for deportations. And that's a very important signal from the noise. Not down for deportations. Really debunks the entire liberal mainstream media's argument and facade that this is not about deportations principally. It's about the way deportations are happening, the manner in which deportations are being carried out. Not true. At least not true for this group. And there was a big group there. They did a time lapse, and everybody wants to inflate their numbers. I mean, that's just the way the game goes. And we're going to talk about manufactured consent here for most of the morning, let's say half of the morning. Then I got a stern warning and let's say scolding for our own conservative movement. And there you see the time lapse over the course of a few hours. Now, you got to realize most of us have never been in crowds this big. So what looks like a lot of people, it's a lot of people, no doubt. I mean, but 20,000 and 50,000 are two completely different numbers. I think it's probably closer to 25,000 people over the course of this time lapse, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be. Big crowds of people are always hard to gauge in some sense, but there's tens of thousands of people at this protest. And I know because I led one myself, a peaceful one back after George Floyd died, to the front door of the Fed. And I think that's what gives me an authority to talk about this situation here in Minnesota, but more broadly, a sort of cultural diagnosis. And that's what I'm going to talk about in a moment. But we have to understand one thing. They tell you the quiet part out loud if you listen close enough. And that's why I ran the cold open. You have to listen really close again to hear it towards the end. But there was a chant, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's some corny, slogan they put out. And right at the end, they said, not down for deportations, which means they're not down for deportations at all. And that is a hard line in the sand that they've drawn culturally. This is a culture war that's going to play out in the political arena. But culturally, these people at least reject deportations fundamentally, categorically. And that's something that we have to continue to push throughout today and over the weekend and over the next couple of weeks, as this narrative is the current battleground of American politics. And it's for the narrative. That's where I want to start today. America is an experiment. First of all, no, it isn't. We're not an experiment. We're a country. We're a country with real people and real consequences. We're not an experiment. To say it is disrespectful. This is not an experiment. This is a country. Now, we've let people experiment on us quite a bit, and that's sad to say, dangerous. And we've paid a heavy price for the experiments we've allowed people to do on our country and on our people. But this country is not an experiment. There is a thought experiment happening in America, and there was a thought experiment in our foundational ideology, in the framework of this country. The thought experiment is, how long can a nation maintain its righteousness? How long can a nation maintain its moral fiber before it devolves into the lowest form of mob rule? Before it devolves into the lowest derivative of mob rule? That's the thought experiment happening in America. This country is not an experiment, but there is a thought experiment taking place. Can a nation maintain its sovereignty, its integrity, its moral fiber, its freedom, its righteousness? Or will it inevitably fall to the lowest derivative of mob rule? And so far, for 250 years, we've been able to rise to the occasion and not devolve into the lowest derivative of mob rule. Now that is in jeopardy. We are at a critical moment in this nation's history. And the people on the other side, they think the exact same thing. They think that their idea of America is what America should really be. And they're going to fight for it. And I talk about this on my podcast all the time, and I'm going to talk about it here a little bit. But you'd have to go to the podcast, and please call me crazy on YouTube and Rumble, and you can watch it on War Room's Getter and Rumble page as well. But I talk about the heresy of democracy. And every time I say it, I think people look at me like I have three eyes. What do you mean? Heresy of democracy. It's not that democracy is a heresy. There is heresy in democracy. There is heresy of democracy. The heresy of democracy is the idea that all majorities are made righteous and equal. That majority consensus, a 50 plus one majority, sort of alleviates the need for any type of moral or ethical integrity. That if we get enough people to say it's true, if we get enough people to say it's right, then it's true or it's right. First of all, it's categorically false. Philosophically, ideologically, first principles. We're going to start to work with first principles because that's what we have to do to get down to the root of this infected tooth. We have to go all the way down to the root. We're going to have to perform a root canal on the psychology of our nation. And down there in the root, there's decay and there's pus and there's infection. And one of the infections is the idea of democracy itself as it's taught, as it's presented, and as it's been carried over the last 3-4 generations in this country. There is great heresy in democracy. The heresy is this idea that all majorities are made righteous and equal. They're not. In fact, if you look across the history of human civilization, we can point to many more times where the majority had it completely wrong than they have it completely right. In fact, I would argue an overwhelming number of times throughout history, the majority of people had things wrong. The majority of people get things wrong. Why? Why do the majority of people so often get things wrong? Because it's a modality of convenience. Convenience will be the death of freedom. It's convenient to make yourself feel like you're doing something moral or good or humanitarian or altruistic when you see another group of people out there in the streets protesting for human rights and freedom. You can convince yourself that you're doing something altruistic and good. And sometimes that's all people need. Doesn't matter what the facts are. Doesn't matter what they're actually being used for. We're going to talk about that on the other side of this break, but understand what you're watching out there is a small percentage of the total amount of people that live here in the state of Minnesota. That has to be said first. 3.8 million people live in this state, and that was about 25,000 of them. Less than 1%. Okay, so less than 1% of people are mentally impaired. And they are. There is a serious mental impairment in that mob of people. And you have to understand, it doesn't, and this is the ironic catch-22, they don't represent the majority of Minnesotans, but there's still enough people to sway the consensus, to sway the narrative, and to cause a lot of trouble and damage if they start to get the motivation to do so. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Royce White Show, watching The Royce White Show. Stay tuned.
Hello, welcome to T-Town. Like men over 40 everywhere. These guys experience a drop in testosterone. Don't worry, it happens to all of us. Some guys took my advice about how to boost their testosterone, and some didn't. This guy got the message loud and clear.
That's right, Nugenix Total T2.
From the #1 selling testosterone brand at GNC comes Nugenix Total T2, a unique new formula that combines the ultimate free and total testosterone booster with a powerful nitric oxide booster that works in just 3 hours. Feel like a new man, leaner, stronger, with more energy and drive. Get your complimentary bottle by texting SURGE to 321-321.
Thanks. It'll make you feel like a new man. And by the way, she'll like it too.
New T2 is not available in stores or on Amazon. Get your complimentary bottle now. Text SURGE to 321-321. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X absolutely free.
You push it. You try to slide it. You even try to hold them shut. But your doors just won't stay closed no matter what. Introducing Ruby Monkey Magnets. Brand new ultra-thin magnetic plates that will keep your doors and drawers shut. And now may be your last chance to get them at a low price. Just peel to reveal the super strong adhesive. Place the monkey, then the magnet, and close. Installation is that simple, and now you have a door that will stay shut. So forget drawers that won't stay closed. Every drawer stays closed. It's so fast and so easy. Even large sliding doors or cordless window blinds. Everything stays closed with Monkey Magnets. The secret is the ultra-strong industrial magnet that's powerful attraction keeps your doors and drawers securely shut. These magnets are so strong they can hold this hammer that's nearly 5 pounds. Plus they're super thin. They'll fit just about anywhere, and they stay out of sight. Even screw them in for a more permanent solution. Monkey Magnets are perfect for cabinets, dresser drawers, sliding closet doors, accordion doors, and more. They're made of ultra-durable metal, so even your outdoor problems are solved in an instant because they're corrosion and rust resistant. Use them anywhere outside the house, even on that stubborn mailbox that won't stay shut. Monkey Magnets can stick anywhere, from drywall to all types of wood frames, metal surfaces, and more. Call or go online now to get 8 sets of Monkey Magnets for only $9.99. Monkey Magnets are guaranteed to last 10 years or your money back. But wait, due to rising costs and supply chain shortages, this may be your last chance to get Monkey Magnets at this low price. There is a strict limit of 1 full house pack per order while supplies last. So order now to keep all your doors and drawers shut tight with Monkey Magnets.
Call 1-800-519-4810. That's 1-800-519-4810. Call or visit GetMonkeyMagnets.com. So call 1-800-519-4810. Order now.
Welcome back to the Royce White Show. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. You're watching Real America's Voice. We're the headquarters of the Ultra MAGA America First movement, and we will not take a single back step. Understand what the large numbers of protesters in the streets yesterday in Minneapolis is intended to do. It's intended, number one, to manufacture consent. Manufacture consent that Minnesotans overwhelmingly disagree with the deportations of illegal immigrants, overwhelmingly disagree with President Trump, the MAGA and America First movement, and ultimately the Republican Party at the polls here in 2026. And once again, as a flashpoint, a cultural flashpoint, just like in 2020, as a means to justify stolen elections. That's number one. That's what it's intended to do first. Second, it's intended to intimidate anybody out there who watches and says, well, however many people must support a given thing tells us what the broader majority must also support. It's meant to call your bluff. It's meant to call the bluff of the MAGA and America First movement, the Trump supporters, the Republican Party, the conservatives, the Christians, Turning Point USA. Where's Turning Point USA now? No disrespect. And we're going to talk about this on the other side of this block because we're going to have some words. And now we're getting down to it. I mean, Minnesota, in a way, much more profound than I think anybody right now can see. Minnesota is going to become the pivot point of American history and the history of Western civilization. Providential. The protest is meant to manufacture consent. We don't know how many of these people even live in Minnesota. Hell, we know Renee Good didn't live in Minnesota. We don't know how many of these people live in Minnesota. We don't know how many of these people are paid or not. We don't know how many of these people even have just a basic understanding of recent American history from presidential administrations about immigration policy. We don't know how many of these people are political activists, Our ideologues are individuals that actually believe to their core that deportations are fundamentally illegitimate, or people who just, want to be a part of something, feel the need to sing Kumbaya because their life sucks. And as good as technology is getting, as many new high-rise apartment buildings that have stainless steel appliances and beautiful yoga workout rooms, there are a lot of people who have no meaning in their life. There are a lot of people where the world has become more accessible than ever. That people and let's say a sense of belonging, a fake sense of belonging, altruism and humanitarianism and being a part of a collective, being a global citizen has never been more possible, yet people still feel extremely isolated and alone. What a desperate state to be in. And the real battle, the real war of powers and principalities that we're fighting is the human condition's impulse, propensity towards loneliness and despair, and the anxiety, the angst that emerges from it, and the fortitude, the spiritual fortitude and righteousness to walk a path alone in the face of scrutiny the way Christ did, bearing the cross while he was spit on and cursed and wore the crown of thorns. The sad part is nobody's asking you all to wear a crown of thorns. Nobody's asking you to carry a cross through an angry mob, an unruly mob that spits and curses at you. Nobody's asking you to do that. All we're asking you to do is not waver on the principle because 20,000 people show up on a Friday afternoon in a coordinated protest with all the local businesses who share the same stupid woke ideology. Don't waver on the principle because you see a mass of people. And even more importantly, we better start thinking about where is our countermeasure? Where are our counter protesters? Where is our representation in the streets to help manufacture, to help control, to help shape the narrative? We saw them when Charlie Kirk was murdered. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated, we saw our version, we saw our side of the political spectrum show up in mass numbers there in Arizona. Many, many more people than showed up there in the streets here in Minneapolis yesterday. Many more people showed up there in Arizona for Charlie Kirk's funeral than showed up here in Minneapolis. The difference in the two groups is these people who showed up in Minneapolis are willing to do violence. And I'm not calling you to do violence or anybody to do violence. I'm just trying to help people understand the state of play. And again, we're asking you to do the bare minimum. We're not asking you to be a martyr like Charlie Kirk was. We are asking you to stand firm on the principle and participate in a way that reflects the things you really believe, not be swayed by the opinions of the masses that you know are being manipulated. And they've been manipulated. And that's what I want to say to all you communists out there and some of you, let's say, casual bystanders and onlookers, casual participants. It's like fans in the stands at a basketball game. Yeah, you paid your admission, and you can make an argument there wouldn't be a game if you couldn't show up and cheer and be a part of the ecosystem, the economy of basketball. Sure, you can make that argument. The NBA ceases to exist without the fans, so the fans play an integral role, but the fans have to be the fans because the fans know very little about how the game is actually played out. They know very little about the actual rules that the refs have to meet about every single week and make these progressive changes to the way they're going to officiate the game based on the development or the evolution of the skill and the talent and the schemes. I mean, there's so much going on there that the average person doesn't see. And our politics are no different. Our politics are just like sports in that way. You got a bunch of people who are casual onlookers. They have no clue how the system actually works. And that's on both sides of the aisle, by the way. Hell, that's on both sides of the aisle for people who are running for office, let alone your average person who goes to work every day getting crushed by global elites. Doesn't know which way is up or down. All they know is their reels on Instagram and TikTok. 10 years from now, people are going to have permanent crooks in their neck. The human body is going to start to morph, and we're going to have a slight tilt on the top vertebrae of our neck because we're looking down at our screen so much now. Maybe not, in 10 years, but it's coming. It's coming. The upright man's going to have a slight tilt to his cranium because of the way and we all know it. We all see it, and it's so good. It's better than dope. It's better than porn. I was asked one time, about the drug cartels. I said the biggest drug cartels are in Silicon Valley. And the best part about it is they don't have to ship you the dope. They don't have to smuggle it. It's right there in your blood already. It's right there in your brain. The dopamine is right there in your brain already, just waiting to be tapped into. And that's how you get a bunch of you, excuse my language, retarded people out in the streets pretending that you're protesting for the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Are you kidding me? Power to the people. While President Trump is in Davos, Switzerland, delivering the most significant blow to the global economic system in my entire lifetime, and people are in the streets of Minneapolis yelling, power to the people, protesting on behalf of the same globalist elites that are crushing the working class of this country. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, but you aren't ashamed of yourself. A, you don't know enough to be ashamed of yourself, or B, you actually believe in the ideology, and C, worst of all, and this is the worst of all, you don't really hate corruption. You don't really hate tyranny or elitism. You hate that you can't get a taste of it for yourself. And that's what you see out there. That's why the coordination of this political activism is, let's have a nobody has to go to work day here in Minneapolis. Everybody gets the day off because it's Friday after, it's Friday anyway. We'll just take a long weekend. There's going to be a winter storm. We can afford to lose a day of business to help manufacture the consent that we want the system to change. You don't want the system to change. You are the system. You wish you could get a taste of the corruption and the tyranny and the elitism that the globalists there in Davos have now, but although you've played the role of their puppet slaves, they'll never let you into their elite club. And that makes you frustrated. And that's what you're showing out in the streets. You're trying to remind those globalist elites who you support and vote for, you're trying to remind them that you, in strength and number, do have the power to storm the ivory tower and drag them from the ivory tower and kill them if need be. But every single time you vote for one of these corporate-backed Democrats, you just show that the whole thing is fake, theatrical. You're watching The Royce White Show. We'll be right back in a moment. Stay tuned. This is Real America's Voice, headquarters of the Ultra Mag and America First movement.
America's in a fight for her soul. Our freedoms are under attack. Our values are being torn down. And the same corrupt elites who built this mess think they can silence us. The patriots who still believe in this country. Not a chance. Here at Real America's Voice, we're standing shoulder to shoulder with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, a movement that says we will not be silenced.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
And the voice of millions of patriots who refuse to kneel to tyranny. This is the movement of fighters, men and women who still believe in God, family, and the American dream. The conservative alternative to AARP.
Real rights, they come from God.
If you're ready to stand up and join the fight, go to amac.us/RAV right now. That's amac.us/RAV, because this isn't just about politics. It's about saving America. Faith, freedom, America first. AMAC and Real America's Voice, united for the Republic.
Half protection is not enough. Using just an antivirus online is also not enough. Get better online protection with NordVPN. It will encrypt your online traffic, protect you from malware, phishing, and stop annoying ads. Get NordVPN now.
Your wallet is always in danger. Criminals can hack your information without you even knowing. Introducing Slim Mint, an ultra-thin RFID blocking wallet that keeps your cards and cash protected. Slim Mint uses the latest RFID blocking technology to prevent thieves from stealing your info. It's ergonomically designed to optimize space and keep your belongings organized. With the auto-locking Slim Mint, your cards and money stay securely in place. It has a built-in cash clip and a flexible outer band to fit your additional cards and cash. Call or click now and get Slim Mint for just $29.99. Order in the next 5 minutes and you'll get an instant $10 discount. So it's only $19.99. But wait, due to rising costs, this may be your last chance to get Slim Mint at this low price. There's a strict limit of 3 Slim Mint wallets while supplies last. Don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-608-4172. Call or visit slimmintwallet.com. So call 1-800-608-4172 now.
J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Welcome back to the Royce White Show. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. You're watching Real America's Voice, headquarters of the Ultra MAGA and America First movement. Before the break, I was getting around to saying that a lot of these people in the streets, they don't hate corruption. They don't hate elitism. They don't hate tyranny. They hate that they can't have a piece of it for themselves. They hate that they can't have a taste of it. And we get to the real dark corners of the individuals that you see out there in the streets yesterday. They hate themselves and they hate their lives. The scary part about it for the rest of us in America is that regardless of what their hate stems from, their hatred will eventually turn into action. It will manifest itself here in the physical world. And that means that it can have consequences for others. And that's part of the problem with this Republican Party, this modern day Republican Party. We are very interested in the sort of intellectual and highbrow logical debate. Okay, we see the contradiction. I hope at least many of us see the contradiction. But we make the assumption that these people don't know the contradiction. And some of them don't. Don't get me wrong. Some of them are so addicted to porn and social media and cocaine or fentanyl or whatever it is that they're smoking. Some of them are so addicted and so detached from reality, so in desperate need of validation of some sort of small local public consensus that they're good people. Some people are so wrapped up in that, they can't see the forest from the trees, for sure. But there are a lot of them out there that understand the contradiction and they don't care. You could show them Barack Obama in 2008 saying the exact same thing about immigration policy, and they'll just move the goalpost. They'll say, oh, well, but they weren't mass people in the streets and, they weren't, snatching kids or American citizens. Well, when President Barack Obama was deporting a lot of people, it didn't seem that there was too much pushback from the Democrats or the public. So there weren't people out in the streets. There weren't people out in the streets, entire communities of people out in the streets trying to interrupt ICE operations to deport illegal immigrants who, by the way, have some pretty sick rap sheets. They'll move the goalpost again and say, well, President Barack Obama was mainly deporting people who were criminals. One, that's a lie. One, that's a lie. President Barack Obama deported a lot of asylum seekers and was even on the record. Al Gore, I'm sorry, that was back in the 90s, but President Barack Obama was even on the record, and one of the chief of staff, his spokesman, was even on the record saying a lot of these asylum seekers ended up, over 90% of the people who were seeking asylum ended up not really deserving asylum by our standards. So even that's a lie. They understand the contradiction. They don't care. The political climate is a mechanism for them to displace the anger and frustration of their own life. And this is the real danger of letting these globalist elites have control of our society, have control of our country. And that's why what President Trump did there in Davos, Switzerland, might be the most significant deviation from the status quo in my lifetime. For sure in my lifetime, but maybe in the history of our nation, certainly the short 21st century. Certainly in the short 21st century. Most significant deviation from the status quo to say, you know what, we're wise to the game. We're wise to the whole scam. We're not going to play along anymore. We're not going to let you control the narrative. We're not going to let you, socially engineer or manufacture the consensus of the American people. Only to, in the end, and this is their goal, in the end, try and provide another false catharsis, another fake solution of more technology, of more surveillance, of more social media and video games, more game theory, more slot machine theory. That is what President Trump just told the world in Davos, Switzerland. But the problem, even there, even as President Trump tries to reorient the entire global economy to something that more favors the American citizens, American people, and really working class people all over the world, if their people so choose. Even with that taking place, what do you call it again when people start to favor their chains and love their captors? I think that's called Stockholm Syndrome, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the WEF should just go ahead and move the World Economic Forum. They should just go ahead and move the summit to Stockholm just to rub it in all our faces. Because that's what we're dealing with here, Stockholm Syndrome. Go ahead and move the World Economic Forum to Stockholm because people love their chains. I said it the other day. I said it a couple weeks back in the PBS Frontline interview, and the guy who was interviewing me looked at me like I had three eyes. I said, people crave tyranny. He goes, I don't want tyranny. I said, yeah, so you say. Sure you do. Sure you want tyranny. You just want a form of tyranny that you never have to admit exists. You want a form of tyranny that you can pretend doesn't exist. That's why you see a bunch of affluent white liberals and black liberals or leftists or progressives or Marxists or communists. They're all one polyglot of people. I don't even want to make a distinction. Even that's a psyop. Well, I said one time to Anna Kasparian, you can go on X right now and look up the tweets. Me and her had an exchange in 2022, and I called her a neoliberal, Marxist, globalist, and she put a face like, she responded with a face like, what does that mean? It means all of you are in on the same thing with a slight variation, but you want the same end goal, that you have this political theater. You have this political theater where the political issues are debated and people choose a side and they identify a certain way, but it's all aimed towards the same goal. The goal is we don't have to actually confront the tyranny. We don't actually have to confront being in chains. We love tyranny as long as it benefits us, as long as it's comfortable for our psyche at night, as long as we can still pretend that we're humanitarian or altruistic. We love chains. We love tyranny. We love elitism. Look at our donors. The Democrats can tell me they have a fundamental problem with white supremacy or elitism or, let's say, corporate greed when they completely disavow their own donors the same way they want President Trump to disavow the candidates on the far right like myself. Until then, the Democrats don't have a leg to stand on. It's all virtue signal. You'll take the money from George Soros as long as it continues to pump. And George knows at the end of the day, no color revolution ever ends in chaos. A king will ascend to the throne. And if he's on the right side of the football, when the people finally get up enough angst, enough anger, enough discontent with their own life, and he or the people who control him, because the buck doesn't stop with George Soros. That's just another face that they give us. But if the people who are executing that agenda can stay on the right side of the football just long enough to aim the energy of the people at the right group of others, Rachel Maddow, the right group of others, then he can benefit. Then he can become the ruler. And the scariest part is they're already ruling the game. They already run the game. Now what they're trying to do is use the momentum and the energy and the consensus from a people who have been brainwashed and misled and targeted right at all of you out there who watch this show. And so I get a text message from a fellow patriot here in the state of Minnesota that there is a host, or there was a guest or somebody on the Charlie Kirk show who promoted Michelle pro-choice Tafoya. Are you kidding me? No loyalty you need to have for me. I don't care one bit. I'm one of those guys who doesn't need a co-signature, and I'm proud of that. That's what makes it credible for me to stand up and say anything ever. It's because I'm willing to die alone and on a cross for what's true, not what's convenient or comfortable. But I tell you now, these communists that are rallying out in the streets, who are willing to rally in the streets in negative 20 wind chill weather, they're not coming for me. Or let's say they'll come for me last, because they know when they come for me, I'm taking some of them with me. They're coming for you. All of you milquetoast, moderate conservatives out there who wave your Christian flag and pretend if you go to church and sing the songs and just don't curse throughout the week, that you're holding the saltiness that the scripture tells you to. Michelle pro-choice Tafoya and the Fox News Brigade loves her. Oh, they know there is no way possible that a pro-choice moderate Republican has any chance of winning a Minnesota state primary. And it's never intended for her to win. It's intended to launder money, and the consultants and all of the operatives and the people back there in D.C. are going to get their beak wet. And we have to ask ourselves the same question on this side of the aisle that the liberals and the Democrats have to ask themselves. Do we really want things to change? Do we really want things to get better, or do we just like the sound of it? Do we really want things to change and get better, or do we just like the sound of it? 76 House Republicans voting for DEI. With Republicans like this, who needs Democrats? We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul. For 50 years, I've watched Washington betray the American people with dishonest money. Nixon's closure of the gold window made endless debt and war inevitable. Today, our middle class, our currency, and our economy are dying in real time. In my new book, Dispatches to Future Generations, I reveal how we got here, plus the solution, gold. And that's why I'm partnering with Birch Gold Group to give you a free copy of my book along with their free info kit on gold. Click below to get both right now. Inside the info kit, you'll learn how to move your IRA or 401k into physical gold. So click below to claim your free copy of my Dispatches to Future Generations and Birch Gold's info kit today.
Kevin paid off over $12,000 in credit card debt with the help of Consolidated Credit. They cut his interest rates and lowered his payments so he could pay off his debt fast. Call 800-596-8062 for a free consultation.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call or scan for your free writer's guide today.
The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need, and discounts for seniors and military.
Attention homeowners. Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Is the bank threatening to take your home? Is your home worth less than you owe? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to call this number right now.
Call 800-714-8615.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Do you feel me? Are we? Can we have an adult conversation yet in the Republican Party and the conservative movement? But let me give you the statistics again, because again, this is intended to intimidate you and control the narrative. Intimidation and control of the narrative. That's what the protests are intended to do. I know because I come from the black community. I've sat in the meetings. I heard exactly what these people think and what their goal is. These public demonstrations are intended to intimidate you and control the narrative, because it's fewer and far between now more than ever that big groups of people get together. When do we get together in mass groups of people? Sports events and political controversies. That's it. Oh, I'm sorry, concerts for sure. Excuse me. Sports and entertainment and politics. And in many ways, they're one and the same. When the narrative starts to break down, when the entertainment, when the sports and entertainment no longer has the punch because the collective dopamine pathways, the neural pathways of dopamine are stripped from this form of entertainment. They have to turn up the dope. They have to make wilder entertainment, and sometimes that entertainment is political activism. And that's what you see out there in the streets too, in some sense. A big theater that's their coliseum. They're the freedom fighter that doesn't risk anything at all, and they all know it. They all know it, because if they were really willing to risk something, it wouldn't be peaceful. And it was primarily peaceful. It's intended to intimidate and control the narrative. That's what it's intended to do. The question again is, what are we going to do? What are we going to do now? What's the MAGA in America first? Are we going to hold the line? You can already start to see the effect. See, a lot of people don't make this connection. But don't fool yourself for 1 second into thinking that the public approval for ICE's, aggressive deportation strategy isn't why 76 of those Republicans voted for what can only be described as woke legislation. Don't think for a second that the public sentiment isn't why you're seeing people start to deviate. And I tell you this, Mr. President, and I know he knows this, but I have to remind everybody else, not him, he knows. It's the rest of you out there. If we lose in 2026, if we lose the House, God forbid the Senate, they will impeach President Trump. If we lose in 2026, the House and the Senate, they will impeach President Trump, and he will spend the rest of his life in a prison cell. Understand, that's how serious it is. And I say that apropos to my race right here in Minnesota. Michelle Tafoya launches, and the entire conservative movement has a day of pageantry. Oh, Will Cain, and let's name the names: Will Cain and Clay Travis and Scott Jennings and Tommy Lauren and Riley Gaines. And I know many of you love them all. Conservatives, Christians, many of them claim. A pro-choice Republican? Are you kidding me? That's what we're going to do? No, sacred honor calls us to hold the principle, move towards the principle. When President Trump called Roe back to the states, overturned Roe and had it brought back to the states, although the legislation would still allow for abortions in some states, he held the principle, and he's moving the country toward the principle. When you start your campaign with "I'm a pro-choice Republican," you're not moving people towards the principle. You're conforming to the problem. Michelle Tafoya. Michelle, deep state puppet Tafoya. But we have the same sort of problem on this side of the aisle that they do on their side. Cuckery. We see a pretty face, nice, dressed, good-looking, middle-aged white woman, spent a career on the sidelines of the same mainstream media industrial complex that we're fighting tooth and nail today. And you don't survive in the sports world on a sideline as a reporter unless you never say anything controversial. It's just the way it goes. You don't survive 30 years in the sports and entertainment business as a commentator unless you never say anything out of line. So, to support Michelle Tafoya, or to even put her up, is almost to prop up our own willingness, our own cowardice to return to the status quo. It's like Michelle said to President Trump in 2023. She said, "We want to return back to normal. Please, President Trump, don't run in 2024. It's just going to cause more chaos, and we're tired of it." Who is we? We weren't tired of anything. We, like in the MAGA movement in Minnesota, we were rallying up in St. Cloud to the tune of 10,000 people, one of the only other few times you see that many people come together in the public square. We were rallying for President Trump, not asking him not to run in 2024. And this goes down even another layer. Many of you out there say, we have to pass the SAVE Act. We have to pass the SAVE Act so we can have real elections. Well, first of all, we got to get the digital IDs out of the SAVE Act. That's number one. Clean that bill up. And then we need to fast track it. And both things need to happen simultaneously. But the point is, many of you think that the SAVE Act is one of the most important pieces of legislation in the history of our country. But you're in favor of candidates who go to the very group of people who are holding up that legislation. NRSC, all of them at the NRSC are rhinos. There isn't 10 America First United States senators in the entire body The NRSC was Mitch McConnell's personal little slush fund, and Tim Scott is a raging rhino. Endorsed Lisa Murkowski. And who does Michelle Tafoya remind you of? And if she's not willing to stand for anything controversial or go to the dangerous places in the conversation when she's running for office, what do you think she's going to do with a gun to her head when she makes it to the swamp? Because that's what they do to you. When you make it to the swamp, they put a gun to your head. And we all know it. We all know when you make it to D.C., they bring you into a room and they tell you, that's great. You made it to the show, kid. Now let me tell you how it really works. And that's why no matter what these people run on, once they get in office, all of a sudden you look up and you go, who is this person? The only United States Senate candidate in the entire country that they know will show up to D.C. the exact same way I campaign, and they'd have to kill me in order to get me to deviate. Yours truly. Yours truly. And they all know it. And that's why the NRSC went out of their way to find anybody they could. And what did they come up with? They slapped the conservative movement right in the face. They spit on the grave of Charlie Kirk for putting up a pro-choice moderate Republican in the wake of his assassination. Charlie Kirk, you're going to honor his memory by putting up moderate, milquetoast, pro-choice Republican candidates? I don't care if a woman had an abortion herself in the past. If she's going to hold the principle today and say, I think different, we're going to move people toward the principle of righteousness, I'll take her. I'll reiterate it. She could have had an abortion herself in the past, as long as today she wants to move people toward the righteous principle. Not conform. That's what the protests out there in the streets of Minneapolis is to get you to is intended to do, is to get you to conform. Not even conform in practice, just conform psychologically in your mind. This is what people really believe. This is the safe thing to do. It's why you're not out there. It's why we're not out there. And let me give you the numbers for all of these political experts and consultants that talk about the math and who can win, who's electable. They're lying straight to your face. 32 million Christians of voter age in this country did not vote in 2024. 1 million Christians in the state of Minnesota of voter age did not cast a ballot in 2024. If even half of them would vote, we wouldn't have to conform to these crazy liberal policies and ideas. And when the Republican establishment puts up a pro-choice candidate, what they're really telling you is we would much rather conform to the liberal ideas than have to hold the principle and bring these Christians into the process. And half of that's on them and their lack of sacred honor, but half of it's on you all in the audience. Half of it's on the Christians in this country who complain about the rise of Islam, but are unwilling to get involved in the political process. Because I tell you what, the Muslims you're afraid of, they're neck deep in your politics. The Jews you may criticize are neck deep in your politics. And surely the communists and the Satanists that you criticize are neck deep in your politics. And you think the answer is Michelle Tafoya? If you think that, you get the government you deserve. And by God, we all will. It's been another episode of the Royce White Show. The great Steve Bannon up next. War Room Posse. God bless you all. God bless America. Godspeed. We'll see you next weekend. Thanks.
America's in a fight for her soul. Our freedoms are under attack. Our values are being torn down. And the same corrupt elites who built this mess think they can silence us. The patriots who still believe in this country. Not a chance. Here at Real America's Voice, we're standing shoulder to shoulder with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, a movement that says we will not be silenced.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
The voice of millions of patriots who refuse to kneel to tyranny. This is the movement of fight fighters, men and women who still believe in God, family, and the American dream. The conservative alternative to AARP.
Real rights, they come from God.
If you're ready to stand up and join the fight, go to amac.us/RAV right now. That's amac.us/RAV, because this isn't just about politics. It's about saving America. Faith, freedom, America first. AMAC and Real America's Voice, united for the Republic.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
Kevin paid off over $12,000 in credit card debt with the help of Consolidated Credit. They cut his interest rates and lowered his payments so he could pay off his debt fast. Call 800-596-8062 for a free consultation.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call or scan for your free writer's guide today.
We are in the middle of at least 4 unravelings. The unraveling of the post-war international order, the unraveling of domestic tranquility wherever immigration and customs enforcement agents bring their jackboots, the further unraveling of the democratic order with attacks on the Fed independence and, excuse the pun, trumped-up prosecutions of political opponents. Finally, the unraveling of President Trump's mind, end quote. All of that happening at once is shaping our future. As Robert Kagan writes in The Atlantic, quote, Americans are entering the most dangerous world they have known since World War II, one that will make the Cold War look like child's play and the post-Cold War world look like paradise.
Very clearly, these are programs for every single New Yorker. These are not programs that are going to ask the immigration status of any one of